for not only joining us, but for the five of you for helping us with this one to help honor the legacy and talk about how we can build our own legacies, but also honor the legacy of the late, great Jimmy Spildiner. First, let's hit some leaderboards real quickly. Our top first-time writer for the week was Tracy Furtado with almost $6,000 in production. Will Smith, Joshua Quillen, and Joanne Castellano, $30,713. Way to go, Joanne. That top three is just really impressive this week, gang. So if you made that, congratulations. And really, if you hit the number that you set out to hit for yourself, I don't care if that's $3,000 a week, $1,500 a week, if you're part-time, or $30,000 a week like Joanne, congratulations to you. That's the beauty of this thing. You get out of it what you want to get out of it. Top app count taker was Mr. Will Smith. Well done, Mr. Smith. Top Medicare sup writer was Ashley Richard with $2,100, 3 med sups. Top DI writer was Shonda Crawford. Top IUL producer, good Lord, Will Smith, $56,667. Numbers are capped. That's why this number is a lot larger than the previous number. So it was actually a much larger week for Will Smith. Goodness gracious, man. Josh was like, what the heck, dude? Got $35,000 myself. I thought for sure I'd be number one for the week. Oh, I tell you, there's no better time than right now with the changing environment, economic environment, to be writing these types of products. As you can see, even right here, Brett Loftus with $2 million as the top annuity writer for the week. Got annuity leads starting to flow in out there. Some of you are starting to write them, use them. And of course, DFL and infinite banking leads are out there too. Jessica Smith, $44,854 in debt-free life premium. If you just look at our top 3 advanced markets, you got almost 45,000 in DFL. It was like 50,000 plus in IUL and 2 million in annuity. Goodness gracious alive. Top base shop new writers, Pritchett Susie Offert. Have you seen Offert's numbers, by the way, lately?
Yes. Crazy good. What did he say the other day? It took him like 5 years to get to that number, and then he did it the other day. He's done it in like 6 months with his base shop.
He's found like the cheat code, man. He's like up, down, left, right, BA.
You got it.
You know, he's got 30 men and he's fighting Mike Tyson right out of the gate. This is crazy stuff. Top direct new writers, Jacob Pug with 16. Nate Offert with 2 SNAs tied with Susie. And Jacob Pug number 1 on the directs SNA board with Nate right behind him. And then look at all these SNAs. I would like to nominate Todd Spivey to call all of these names out today. It's been a while since he's called them all out.
No, last week I put him in the same task and he crushed it. So let's do it again, Spivey.
Spivey, show them what you got.
Do it.
You go 2
weeks. Season new agents, guys. That means 6 apps in 6 weeks and unlocks just crazy analytics to show that you're off to a fast start to building a successful career here. So congratulations. The names you're seeing in parentheses, again, of course, refers to their upline mentor who is not to be missed in their efforts to understand the importance of this and guidance to making this accomplishment. So congratulations to Hanson, Lemert, Walker, Klimek, Walters, Goods, Murray, Betancourt, Assad, Moore, McLean, Thompson, all caps Thompson.
I like that. He must have. Oh, something happened there. That's pretty awesome.
Don't want to miss that.
No.
Kaluuya, Stebbins, Ralston, Kyle, Prosser, Connors, Caballero, Ryan, Harvey, Salazar, Ferrientino, Renault, Jones, Crump, and Valdez.
I think I'm gonna
which one are you throwing the flag on?
I'm throwing a flag on Caballero. It'd be Caballero. It's a cowboy, right, Pam?
Sure.
And Fiorentino. Fiorentino is my guess. Fiorentino.
Well
the rest
done.
I think you did really well on, though. I would still give you an A-. If not, I mean, there's totally, I could have messed up those last two as well, so you could have gotten 100 for all I know.
It
I
just
do.
sounds smoother coming out of your mouth, so I'm going to go with you. Either way.
No. I think you did really well. I don't want you to beat yourself up over it. And it's good to have you back in the office feeling good. You didn't miss a day, but you said you weren't feeling well. You may have had a little bit of a fever, but you just fought through like a champion. Any advice to those out there that may start feeling sick? Because it's going around. There's a lot of flu out there, a lot of other things floating around now that we're all back out in society. Any advice you have?
Everything you need to know, you just learned on the builder's call with Casey Watkins. And I think it just comes down to managing my energy. I think I expended too much in combination with the time zone or the daylight savings time change. And
Yes.
I need to just get some rest.
All right. I like that. Rest up.
It's a little weird when you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and your body thinks it's 9 o'clock. So it decides it wants to wake up at 4 o'clock and, just messes with
So
you.
dumb. So dumb that we have these stupid time changes. Everybody in Arizona is laughing at us right now.
I know.
They
got to figure it out.
They do have it figured out. So, but they don't have it figured out with the digital time that we've talked about, where you have to match it up with exactly where the sun is and all that. We need some astronomers out there to really help us hone in on this. Right now, it could be, as an example, it would probably be more like 2:06 in our new digital time spot. We'll see. Cassandra Mack, Mark Musafer, and Gabrielle and Ike Manuelo for the top key leaders for the week. Also, Bo Hirschfield. Oh, also Sue Hinojos. Excuse me. Top agency owners, Chad Harrington, Liliana Goebel as the top recruiter, and EJ Johnson. Is that Ernie? Big Ern?
So,
Right.
Jay,
Alvarado, number one in production, Newbauer in recruiting, and Sean Kim tied. And Sarah Reinecke and Sean Kim tied for new writers. Way to go. Top rads, Eileen Balmer with $168,000. Frank Brenez with 13 recruits, and Eileen Balmer with 9 new writers. Way to go, Eileen. Brad and Kira Gainey edging out Marlon Faulkner as the top managing vice president. Good Lord, Cook. 33 recruits. She saved some for the rest of us. Nicely done. 7 new writers. I like it. Nate Offer, there he is. We talked about it. That number is probably double. Nate, shoot me a text. That number is probably double from where it was maybe as short as 90 days ago. To give you an idea of just how much growth that there's been in there. Brad can also send me that, or Edward. Tony Capistrano, top recruiter with 16, and Nate Offert, top new writers with 10. That's the thing, man, is he's recruiting, turning them into writers and making them stick. It's really good. Top executive vice president, Mr. Scott Mank, as the top recruiter as well. And he hit the turkey leg, man. Top new writer getter, 7. Way to go. Top associate partner, Linwood Watkins. Ashley and Tyler Harris as the top recruiters and the top new writers. 37 recruits, 21 new writers. They're doing something very, very right. And for the week, $400,712 in premium, and still had time to change their photo. Talk about time management. Need to get them on next week.
Right. Heck yeah.
They're killing it. Top senior partner is Edward Pritchett with a lot of ones. 69 recruits and 31 new writers. Just look at everybody's numbers up here because they're all really good. And number one managing partner for the week, Marshall Wayland, over $1 million, 82 recruits, and 39 new writers. Really good weeks as well by Kevin Purdy, Brian Delaney, mixing it up there for number 2. Way to go, gang. Top direct is Jacob Pogue with 33 recruits for Chris Cook, as we said, and the top with new writers is Mr. Jacob Pogue, and his direct agency was 16. Base shop Ashley and Tyler Harris for the week, 63 grand. Newbauer, 13 recruits, and Pritchett, Susie, and Offert, all with 4 new writers. All right. Now we're ready for our announcements, and there's a lot of them. So pay attention. Everybody get honed in, focused right here, okay? Got some big ones. Next week is going to be huge. Look for important updates from us. That's the founders, exciting on the special rollouts. But really what this is about National call starts at 1 o'clock. No builders call next week. We have our Make-A-Wish virtual fundraiser at 2 o'clock. You guys have done such an amazing job on this for the past 3 years. This is our third virtual event in a row, Casey, Spivey. Yep. So I know that everybody's investing in some money. You got the holidays, you got trips coming up, you got all these things, but be sure to save some of that so that you can give back. It's really good for your brain, really good for your heart, and it's for such a great cause. This is one of our most exciting events of the year. So next week's calendar, 1 o'clock call. We're going, and we have some really cool announcements for this 1 o'clock call next week too. Meredith and Whit will be on us to help roll out some new really cool things that the organization is doing that you guys are going to love. And then that's going to roll straight into our Make-A-Wish virtual fundraiser. So if everybody can figure out a way to show up, donate what's in your heart. Some of you will donate $10,000, $15,000 as you've done in the past. If you can only donate $10 to $15, that's where you are right now. Every little bit counts, but please show up. Share this link, get registered. You can register on HQ, event.gives/storybookwish. Okay. Get registered, share that link. If you got friends and family that want to get on and want to be a part of something really cool, then please share it. Spivey, I'm putting you in charge of sharing this with every single carrier rep that we have. And if you want to put that in someone else in charge of that, that's fine. But I'm putting you in charge. Tell them to come off that pocketbook too, man.
That's right. What do we always say, Brandon? The most dangerous thing that communication is actually happening.
That's right.
You know, it's so easy to just think, oh, my agents are on the call. They heard about the Make-A-Wish. They heard about the big impact event. They heard about the conference. They heard about whatever. Don't assume that. Make sure you're adding this to your huddle ups, into your weekly call. It's next week, so make sure you're promoting it. It's important for the team to get on and see our core values, you know, up close and personal. So they start to understand who the company is and who we are and what's driving this. So make sure you promote it.
Make sure to promote it. Nate said he's bringing his checkbook. He just sent me this. Took me 2.5 years to build an organization to do $250,000 in a month. Just built a new base shop in the last 2 months that did over $255,000 last month. So that's how quickly it can happen, which is why he's bringing that checkbook. I don't think you should bring your checkbook. Actually, bring your Visa. Can we take checks?
Yeah, I'm not sure checks.
Does anybody take checks anymore? I don't want anybody to be like, "Oh, we donated, but you told me to bring my checkbook." What's that?
Fax is checking.
We'll take fax checks as long as they're not second party out of state checks. We have a problem with those. All right. Hey man, we got a fun State of the Union coming up, Casey. Save the date. December the 7th this year. We're also going to be filming this a little bit earlier as we've done recently. And so we wanted to give everybody an opportunity. If you have specific topics or questions that you want us to answer or cover, please send us questions to agentmarketing@quility.com. We need it by the end of the day today. Okay, send those questions right into us, and we would love to answer any and all of those that you have. Questions, concerns, comments, stories, anything that you want us to hear. For the most part, we would love to cover for you.
It may be that we can only hit a couple questions. And if that's the case, just make sure you ask some real good ones that you think that the masses would benefit from the founders and CEOs answering. And we'll probably throw you some love in there when we actually do answer and field the question as well, if that question came from you. So a little motivation for you there. And I would say, yes, good. That's it. Thought I had another thought around that point, but I'll come back to it if I can think about it.
All right. Well,
that's a big one.
It is a big one. And then that is going to lead us into, which we'll be bam-famming straight into March 21st through the 22nd here in Asheville. It's going to be a Symmetry Leaders Summit in Spring Fling. A lot more details to come on this. But there is more information right now in HQ, but this is going to be invite only for key leaders and above, and not just invite only if you are currently a key leader or a manager. You're going to have to hit very specific numbers. This is not the final the final note. We're still going to discuss this, but you can assume that if you're a key leader, you're going to need to hit at least key leader numbers, including number of riders, or below. If you're not a key leader yet, but you hit certain numbers, you'll be invited. Same with AO. You're going to need to be hitting AO numbers with AO numbers of riders, and that may continue to go up with agency directors and such. So we have a meeting today to nail that down, or this week to nail that down. So we'll let you know ASAP. But go ahead and put it in your calendar for those of you that know you're going to hit it because you're a winner. That's what you do. March 21st, 22nd here in Asheville, North Carolina. It's going to be a good one. Mr. B Dubs?
You know it. Well, in the words of Semisonic, it's closing time on our coaching cohorts, so we can all sing along.
I hadn't thought about that one in a long time. That's a good one.
Or not. That's right. It's been a while.
Semisonic.
It's a good one. So, we always say that therapists help you deal with the challenges of your past, coaches help you work through the challenges in your present, and mentors open doors in the future, right? And we've been super privileged to attract really world-class, great coaches. Justin Finney being a key one of those in the sales area. He's an industry guy. He was an agent, very high-performing, top-performing agent who had a passion for coaching and finally said, hey, I've got to really follow my heart and my first love for coaching. So we have two cohorts, groups launching next week. This is your final call, if you will. The first one is our Sales 101. You can go to HQ, of course, training and Symmetry coaching. And again, Justin's just all about the basics and keeping you engaged. And with everything going on, I like to be sort of the anti-closer on these and say, don't do it if you're full on. You've got great stuff going on in your agency right now, and which you do. But those of you that are saying, man, I could really use an extra push to the end of the year, this is a great fit. So you can go to the next slide too, Brandon. So that's for brand new agents. And then the next one is key leaders and above. We call it the 5-week challenge. And again, we have our people analytics team working on data and, looking at the back end, what are the results? And we can say confidently, these groups are going to drive results, that we wouldn't be continuing them if they weren't. So definitely encourage you, for those of you that are going to want that coach in the present, somebody that's an industry person, understands your world, and can actually help you crush fear, elevate your goals. 2 good opportunities. Sign up in HQ under training, Symmetry coaching.
Love it.
Word.
Semisonic. Leaderboards for the Champions Cup. We're getting ready to go on the Champions Cup to Cabo.
That's right. Coming up,
man. Can't wait. I'll be there. Spivey, you'll be there, won't you? Casey, you'll be there. Be
Fired
there.
up.
You be there? We'll all be there.
Mhm.
Nice. It's going to be a heck of a time. So this is for next year's Champions Cup, which runs through the end of December. So we're not quite there yet. And it is starting to tighten up a little bit. But as of today, Misty Centron still sitting at the top. Jacob Pogue sitting at the top by a little bit of a wider margin on the directs division. In the base shop world, James Satterfield is sitting at the top, and Misty Centron as the top agency owner as well. So there you go.
and don't forget, Brandon, there's a true up with all of this when it comes down to actual health of business, quality of business, net plays, persistency, that kind of stuff. Spivey, I don't know if you have any details around that, but that's the punchline of it. Is this is not exactly the way it may shake out.
Yes,
we got some truing up to do.
Yep, really good point. So Carlton Lear as an example, or Jamie Susie, and just the board I'm looking at, DJ Debt Free, Ashley Richard, like you guys could still sit at number 1 after the true up. True up is all about net placed percentages in business. So we like leaderboarding things on a weekly basis. We also like really good quality business. So keep pushing. And also the My Quality Concierge contest. Congratulations to Ashley Tarr, sitting at the top as the top direct. Ashton DeLonga Lunday sitting at the top on the agency owner board. And Lola Onafade sitting at the top as the top overall agent. So fighting for a $5,000 vacation in My Quality. Keep pushing.
Ethan, I saw you hop on there, buddy. Did Brandon nail those names properly? I know you've been practicing.
It crushed him. as usual. He's ready to be a dean of a university and graduation. Just get everybody's name right at the end. The hardest job. So yeah, contest wrapping up with Spivey, Resman, Ditson to relaunch new contest stuff to make it easier for you to get that $5,000 vacation. Our switchboard scripts are wrapping up Friday, and then we'll relaunch the new share feature. And then we recorded last week all of our summit trainings. You've got Edward Pritchett, Eric Sisley Newsom, Brad, Jacob Pogue, Sarah Reinecke. You got people who agents actually teaching you how to use MyQuility throughout the whole sales process every day in your business to create a net neutral cost to run your business. So had a great time. Also, Spivey, what a great attendance last week on our training call. I just want to say thank you to all of our AOs who were at AO Academy and pushed us to have one of the highest attendance we've ever had for both my call, but Jeremy Minor. And that was because our AOs just pushing people to learn and do the best that we can do. So thanks, guys. Looking forward to another great week ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy. Now we got an important update that I wanted the Dean of Contracting to speak to, because there was a lot going on here, and man, I get her computers down because we said there's network challenges. Welcome to SWAT. So brought Pam in with me. There's a lot of changes that we're getting ready that we've already made internally that we'll be getting ready to announce probably next week. I think, Casey, is that right?
I think so. Yep.
One of those changes is Pam Fair is you're involved in a lot more now. One of those things that you are a lot more involved in is contracting. So give them some good news on contracting, and then tell them what this announcement's all about.
So good news is the getting new agents onboarded is within like a 12 to 24 hour time frame, typically on a 12-hour time frame. Pre-appointments were all caught up in the last few weeks. Those are on a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time. And now our last thing that we've got to tackle that's been really behind, which we've been working on, is the level 1 and level 2 support tickets. And those have been really behind, but as we get into them, we look at them, we see a lot of duplicates where maybe one AO has put in one request and another AO has put in the same request in that same hierarchy, or they put in multiple ones. And it takes a lot of research to find the information. And so we're just really spinning our wheels here. So the plan is to help us get caught up is effective tomorrow morning. All tickets that were open prior to October 27th, we're just going to close them. If it is still an issue, and we would like for you to really look at the ticket and examine if it really still is an issue. You might have to do some looking in Agent Sync, but if it is still an issue, all you got to do is reply to that ticket or that email, and it'll open it back up and it'll keep your position where it was so that we can get to it faster. Hopefully we can get these all resolved in the next week or two and get completely caught up so that we're back on a 48-hour turnaround on those.
Love it. Well said. And more changes to come.
More changes to come.
More good changes to come.
Always good changes.
Always good changes to come. And a lot of the changes that we've been going through over the past 60 to 90 days, they didn't work exactly as we had hoped they would. A lot of that was on us. A lot of that was on the company that we're working with. But I think we are where we were hoping to get to with those changes. And now it's kind of set the stage for what's coming, which will be much, much, much better. A lot of also just in time contracting stuff that we'll update you guys on coming up soon. So yeah, all good news.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all give her a
Job, sis.
nailed it as usual. You know, Casey, I look in the computer and I see my backdrop and I want it to be that wall. I'm gonna have to change my whole desk around, I think.
I know. I'm thinking about the same thing over here.
But then we'd be looking right at each other, which wouldn't be great.
That's true.
Wouldn't be good for you anyway.
You're talking about, well, I can't, this is not my computer. This view.
Yeah.
Look at that. Like I'm in the forest. I like it.
I don't know, man. That elephant, it just reminds us to think big, hunt elephants, not mice, they say.
I like that.
That's right.
There, we
like it.
White elephants. Or is it, what was the, is it Hemingway novel? White elephants?
White rhinos or something like that.
Water under elephants.
I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody like Christopher Clark out there that's like, you idiots, it's this. For sure. But anyway, next week we got a lot of good stuff coming up. November 10th, which is tomorrow, actually. American Amicable Tips and Treats. We got FIF resets coming up. You can see the schedule here. Check HQ for more. And if you haven't already done so, what the heck are you waiting for? Follow us on social. What's the top one there? Is that TikTok? Official SFG Life.
Give us a follow, guys.
Give
Brand
us
and I
a
are going to start
follow.
sharing. Brand and I are going to start sharing, and along with a lot of leaders and staff. We're going to start sharing some more content that we think you'd be interested in. So
Yeah.
Like and share, as they say.
Like and share, please. And that's it.
And comment.
And comment.
Like, share, comment, heart. That's like. Never mind.
That's right.
I'm gonna have to get better at my own social media for sure.
Yes, we are.
I think we have a video to play real quick. Let's veil, then we get into the heart of what we want to talk about today.
Nice.
So mute.
The more you give, the more you get. Be a giver. Give compliments. Give grace. Give kind words. Give positivity. Give empathy. Give humility. Give support with words and actions, but also financially, even before you think you're ready. Be a giver. What you put out in the universe will multiply and come back to you. But most importantly, right now in this divisive world, we need to give love.
When Jimmy talks, you listen because he's got a perspective. You need to hear that from someone like Jimmy. And I love it because he really helps everyone to understand that these are the things that really matter in your life. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to articulate to people.
To know that, like, I did it. I found the company and I made the impact and left a legacy that will forever be within my family, and my little girl doesn't have to start all over or not reap the benefits of the work that I put in. I've said it before, but I hope you all listen to me, that it's important to design your life that'll allow you to dream like you'll live forever, but being so intentional that every day could be your last. Turn those some days into some today, and please spend your time doing mostly what you love with who you love most.
Jimmy, in one word, he liked to win. He liked to win in competitions. Sometimes the competitions weren't even with another person. They might have just been with himself. But he didn't believe in playing small. He didn't believe in mediocrity. He always believed in raising the bar and playing big. And he expected every single person that he surrounded himself to do the same.
And just watching him fight, watching him live with courage and fight with courage and live every day like it's his last, but have dreams for the future has been amazing.
Jimmy truly epitomized joy and authenticity, and I never had to guess how Jimmy was feeling or what he was thinking because he lived life out loud.
You are a true eagle, and we're so proud to have known you. Love you, my friends.
Jimmy challenges me. The legacy is challenging me to live my life to the fullest. We love you, Jimmy. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you for everything, for that very first conference, walking off the stage and you telling me, John, you have what it takes. Just don't quit. And in that point in my life, I was beat up and broken and everything that you could imagine. And I just need as many people that I looked up to and respected to say things like that to me, and you were one of them.
I worked harder on myself than I even did on my business, discovering that when you develop enough to find the best in yourself, it really makes it easier to find the best in others. See, we've all heard that hurt people, and free people, but you can't free people if you're hurt, and we all are in some way, so get your crap right, suckers. Make this a self-discovery journey like the most successful people here have done. When I truly bought into this, not only did the law of attraction start to show up in my business, but I also stopped being affected by some of the small things like people being mean or rude or negative or nasty. They're hurt people. I feel for them. I want everyone in the world to know how much that I love my little 2-year-old
She is the reason that I exist. She's the reason that I fight every day. She's the reason I wake up. I love that child more than life. I'm so blessed to have gotten to have her no matter what happens to me. But I surely want the world to know and to continue to make her know that I love her so much and I loved her so much and that she is not alone. That's probably the most important thing for me. The other time capsule is I want to see what those years do. I want to see, I'm waiting on those and see what kind of crazy impact those make to all of us that were smart enough to try to go out and achieve them. Because I think that's going to be just a world of like, just change everyone's life so dramatically. I really do. So I think that's it. Obviously I love my wife. Of course, she's been incredible. This is probably a different time capsule than you're used to because I'm speaking like I could not be here in 10 years and most people don't speak like that. But I plan on it. I plan on being here in 10 years and I will break this open and love to celebrate with my little daughter how much I told you guys that I loved her.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Man, miss that man.
Yeah, no doubt. I could watch that, for an hour every day. Reminds me so much, Brian, of the who was the basketball coach? Was it Jimmy V?
Yep.
Hearing Jimmy's speech always reminds me of that. Every bit as powerful to me. So appreciate you guys for being on with us. We've got Cicely and Jordan as well. We got Trey. We got just a really good crew. So we don't want to take up CU airs as well.
Yeah.
Don't want to take up any more of y'all's time, and feel free obviously to go as long as we want to go. But Brian, I'll turn it over to you, man. Excited.
Yeah, Brian did just want to say too how proud we are of the Jimmy Speldener Agency, and how proud we are of Jimmy and what he was able to build and accomplish while he was here. And he talked about legacy in that video, and we're seeing his legacy every week on the leaderboards when Brandon reads them off. We're seeing the amount of families that are being protected still through the Jimmy Speldener Agency, and it's sizable and it's growing. And I just think that's a testament to who Jimmy was and what he was able to do while he was here. But we're also extremely grateful and proud for everyone that's on the screen, and there's so many more in the Speldener Agency that have done so much to make sure that legacy stayed intact, because it was early for Jimmy. It was unexpected. It wasn't, it takes a lot to kind of get things in a place where they need to be. And so you guys jumped on, our first core value: relationships matter, people come first. And when things got tough, you guys stepped in and you guys helped to make sure that legacy was intact and in a spot where it continued to grow. So incredibly grateful to all the leadership in this company, you guys on the screen, everyone that's spelled in our agency for making that. So thank you guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Can't thank you guys enough for the agency owner contract, the fact that that's a real thing, and that we're continuing every day to make that even more real in order to carry on that legacy. That because without that contract, what's happening right now for Cynthia and Sierra and the whole Speldener family for generations, what we're building now as a multiplication of what Jimmy built wouldn't be possible. Yeah. So really grateful to be a part of a company that made that real. So appreciate that. Yeah. Awesome. Very good. Well, I've got to figure out how to change my state. I would normally go to Ayers and Cicely Newsom for some tips on this, but that was some That was heavy. I'm going to try not to cuss either. I'm going to do both of those things and accomplish one of them. So, but yeah, first and foremost, yeah, Brian Delaney. What's more important than that is the fact that I'm so grateful to be a part of this company, to be a leader in this company, to get to stand on the shoulders of the giants who came before me, who laid a pathway for me, so that while they were chopping the path, I get to run on it. And you know, that includes Edward Pritchett, that includes Brandon, Casey, and Brian, that includes the whole executive team for Quality and Symmetry. The invisible are the indispensable, and those people who are continuing on living out a legacy that they may not even know that they're a part of. And we want to dig into that because there's a lot of you who are running on a pathway that was paved as a result of the work that Jimmy Spieldener did in eliminating excuses, right? Raising standards and executing with excellence. And so we want to talk about that legacy because, you know, we all are in the position where every single day we create that legacy. And I'm going to start with this quote from Viktor Frankl. He said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he said, everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life. Everyone must carry out a concrete assignment that demands fulfillment. Therein, he cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. Thus, everyone's task is as unique and as specific as the opportunity to implement it. And we've got that opportunity to implement it today, where our life cannot be repeated or replaced every single day. And what I found is what we do here, it starts off as working for a living. It becomes a life's work. And we can use this as a catalyst for so much good and change in not only our lives, but in the people's lives that we get to influence, that we get to impact. And so just to give a, we talk a lot about the struggles in the beginning, but I want to talk about some of the successes. Jimmy Spieldener started with this company. He started inside of the Delaney Agency. His first month writing was June of 2013. In 6 months, he was able to write $158,758 in his first 6 months in the business. That's powerful. The very next year, not only did he bring on 14 writers, but he personally produced 280,000. Personally produced 280,000. We talk about the three elements of building a business that's worth passing down. Execution, right? Execution. We have to be able to execute. Duplication. We have to learn how to execute with others, and leverage. That's what we get. And this system is built for that. And that's what we get to do. The very next year, 30 writers, $336,641 personally in personal production. Team, the very next year, 1.3 million. Team, the very next year, 3.3 million. Team, the very next year, 5.0 million. Team, the very next year, 6.5 million in production. Not only was he the first one to win both the November to Remember and the March Madness, he was the first person to win the March Madness based on production, and the very next year win it based on building. This was not an example that he set that was free from difficulty. I remember the night he called me. He called me at about 10 of 12, and to tell me that his house was on fire. And I was wondering what kind of sick joke this was that he was playing on me, calling me at 11:50. He was wondering what kind of sick joke was being played on him at the same time. I arrived down there, and in that year, he had made over $220,000 in commission on his own pen. The next year, he made over $250,000 in commission based on the team that he built, because he knew that excellence in himself was not enough, but he had to learn how to multiply that excellence in other people who were willing to grow and go with him. And that's exactly what he did. I get to live out every single day the impact of his legacy on his team. I'm going to be mentioning some names of people that he was able to impact and that impacted him, because it's always a two-way street. I get to see every single day Mary Boudreau, who is the COO of SFG1 of Skilled Enter Financial Group, help make decisions to carry on what would Jimmy have wanted for this company and for his team in order to provide for his family, and to make sure that every single person who joins his agency has the best opportunity to go ahead and be the next standard setter, excuse remover, and leader of many. Today, joining me on this call, we've got people who, through either small or large investments, have become multipliers of this message, have been impacted and continue to multiply that impact that they received into other people. First off, we have, I'm going to have Jordan Hunt go. Jordan Hunt has been with us now for 4.5 years, just broke out as 120 this year. Absolutely phenomenal, leader of leaders. A top month in production for him and his team, 393,000, which is incredible. Has 4 agency owners. We've got Trey Alderson-Cloutier, one of the key members of Jimmy's team, who not only stood by him, but stood in for him, along with his team of Ian Graham and Josh Busick. Just those 3 leaders stepped up in a huge way. Brandy Kimbrell stepped up in a huge way to make sure that they stepped up for him when he had to step back and really focus on his health and relationship and his family. Trey Alderson-Cloutier has been here for 8 years, is a regional agency director, 9 agency owners, top month, 576,000 in production. An obvious protege and mentee of Jimmy's. And then we have Erzin Sisley Newsom, who, thank goodness for Jimmy, because otherwise I would have had to train these two. But we say in our agency that our people are the secret to our people. And without a doubt, Jimmy handled both the conflict and the coaching in a lot of these ways. And we got to see some really incredible things. And they built this business side by side with Jimmy as they both ran toward their best and making their best better. Ayers and Sicily have now been with us over 9 years. Senior vice presidents, 6 agency owners, top month, 647,000. Sicily is also an advisory board member, and Ayers is an integral part of developing this new sales training that we're coming out, and so many different initiatives throughout this company, between MyQuality, between women in leadership. Sicily handles that one. If you don't know, Ayers skipped out on that one, but we just have an opportunity to hear from these leaders and the impact that Jimmy made on them and the impact that they're multiplying into others through that. Jordan, I'm going to give you the floor from here to get started.
Thanks, Brian. Jordan Hunt. That was not me. That was what's going on there. But Jordan Hunt, direct to Brian Delaney. Grateful to be on the call. Grateful to be a part of this team, and grateful to be able to speak on to even be thought of to be able to speak a couple words on Jimmy's behalf here. But I want to start off by just acknowledging you, Brian, man, and what you were to Jimmy in those times. For the people that saw, for the people that were nearest to you, was absolutely incredible. And in the moments where it seemed like he had the least to give, you were willing, man, to give the most back. And you just didn't go the extra mile, man, but you went the extra marathon. And hopefully, man, that you will talk about that a little bit. Don't have a lot of time here, but I want to share a story, and then I want to share one lesson that Jimmy gave me. So here's the story, Trey. First conference, I walk in the door, right, Eris, and no opt credentials, no nothing. And it was the first day of conference, and I'm just like blown away. And that night they had the award ceremony, and we're going back, and Brian's doing the award ceremony for his team there. And I'm telling you, Jimmy got every single award. I was in the back of the room. It was me, Gino, and Aaron. We were just back there, just blown away by everything. I mean, I was in a spot, sis, where, there was a bar, but it wasn't an open bar. So like I had to get like one beer, and I realized whenever they were $9 there. So I was like, this one's got to last me like two hours, And I just remember sitting in the back of the room, Brian, And just like Jimmy would get award after award after award. And I think that year he talked about how his income went from $100 and some odd $1,000 to like over 300,000 just that year. He'd gotten like a double six-figure raise or something like that. That was just absolutely incredible to me. And he started making these statements about, or like Brian asked him, like, what was the biggest difference for you? Jimmy goes, well, I just stopped giving my time to things that weren't giving value back to me, Eris. And he painted this picture of social media and things like that. And he was like, how many people in the room have social media or have this app or that app? And so many people's hands went across the room. And he was like, just imagine, the average American spends X amount of time on this, each day and stuff. But needless to say, like, he really drew out in that moment for me in the back of the room, like how intentional or how unintentional that I had been. And the perspective that he gave me was that, like, I didn't just magically land in that predicament or in that spot in my life, that I kind of just slipped there day by day, and that I slipped there one day at a time. But he also like gave me hope in that same moment where it was like, hey man, like if I slipped here one day at a time, that I can get out the same way, which is just one day at a time, and that leaving there, that, I didn't have to fix everything, but I just had to do the one thing. And sis, I've heard you talk about Jimmy before. The most powerful statement that I heard you make about him was that the worse that he got, the better he got. The worse that it seemed that his health declined, right? Like the better of just a person that he became. And I really didn't know healthy Jimmy all that well. Our friendship kind of blossomed and grew from the point of knowing him as Sick Jimmy. But there's a quote that I want to read, and it is by Confucius. What it says is this, Trey. It says that every man has two lives, and the second starts when he realizes that he has just one. Every man has two lives, but the second one starts when he realizes that he just had one. And what did that relationship give me with Jimmy? It gave me an incredible perspective on life. And it's that we can plan for years, and we can plan for quarters, and that we can plan for months and weeks and days. But what it boils down to is that we're only guaranteed the moments, man. We are only guaranteed the moment. That's the only thing that I have full control over. Right? One of the last texts that I got from Jimmy was this. He said this, these are his words to me in one of those last text messages. He says, Jordan, I wish that the last time I saw you, I wish I knew it was going to be the last. He says, I wish the last time that I saw you that it was going to be the last. Then he said this, he says, I'll be watching down over you. He said, and don't be afraid to talk to me, and don't be afraid to talk about me down the line, so that I don't leave or I don't lose my legacy. And I've kind of like changed the way that I live. Like, guys, like every single person woke up today and we made a withdrawal out of an account. And we don't really know how much is left in that account whenever we took that withdrawal from it. And we don't know like how many that we have left, but we are certain that we have one less, right? So I guess, it's how do we increase the value of the withdrawals that we make, and how do we maximize those days is by living with intentionality, which is what Jimmy talked about more and more in those last months and in his last time, was just living with intentionality and making sure that there's a stamp on time, and that those stamps, like that changes everything that comes after it. There has to be a day, there has to be a moment, there has to be a decision that is made with a stamp that says like nothing is like, everything from this point forward is going to be different because of this decision. And I'm just grateful for Jimmy, so grateful for his example that it's never too late to change who you are. It's never too late, man, to change who you are. So once again, grateful for this. And I just want to kick that over to you, Trey, if you're up and ready, brother.
Yeah, Jordan, thank you so much. Trey Alderson Cloutier, direct to Symmetry Financial Group, part of the Spieldenner, Delaney and Pritchett hierarchies. And so grateful to be so grateful for this company. So grateful for the opportunity to be mentored by Jimmy personally for, 8 years. And in ways, Jimmy was like an older brother that I never had growing up. He gave me the much needed tough love that I needed. He gave me the support I needed. He definitely gave me the challenge that I needed during those times. And there were so many attributes about him. It's funny, before this call, us and the gang, we were trying to just not overlap our thoughts on Jimmy, and to have one specific principle or trait that that he exemplified that we would hit on. And he was such an interesting character that there was so much for us to talk about. The guy was a fighter, tough as nails, wore his heart on his sleeve, the epitome of someone being radically authentic to themselves and to others around them, and an ultra competitor, probably the most competitive person that I've ever met in my life, and a workhorse, just someone who was an elite producer with a company, raised the standards of himself, which in turn allowed all of us to not suffer in mediocrity, but to be raised with those standards as well. But as I was narrowing this list of, what really left the most impact on me and it was exactly what he said when they rolled that video. The first thing he said that came out of his mouth was, "You got to give more." And Jimmy was a giver. He really was. He had this extreme generosity about him that not many people have, not just when it comes to money, but when it comes to plenty of other things in his life. So I will talk about money for a second, because he never talked about it, and I think he deserves some recognition for this. But the guy, went on vacation with Delaney in Africa and saw a need there for a village, a remote village that needed an orphanage and a school, and raised $40,000 to be able to build that for them. Also built 2 wells for charity water as well, collabing with Delaney on that, and the Spieldener Agency. And also had several other charities that he donated to every single month. He lived with the principle that the more you give, the more that you're going to get back in life. He also holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the most amount of money spent on a set of golf clubs. I'm sure you guys remember that. For those who don't know, we had a charity auction for Make-A-Wish, and I can't remember how much he spent on those golf clubs, but I'm pretty sure it was close to like $4,000 or something. And I don't even know if he used them, to be honest, because that was, I think that was toward the latter end of his life. But, just a very generous person. Positivity. He gave positivity to everybody around him, especially as he progressed with his diagnosis. He just was so positive to people, even during, because me and Brian and Ayers and Jordan, we all knew him very well. And there were times where he was scared, but he would come to us and he would just be this beam of light when, a lot of us didn't see light at that time. And his time and energy as well. Like, there were times where I had to tell Jimmy, like, listen, man, you got to step back and focus on your health. You can't be, out here traveling around doing boot camps, hopping on all these calls. Like, just take a step back, right, and just focus on your health. And we had to tell that to him. But in a way, he didn't like that, because he felt like he was losing part of himself if he wasn't part of Symmetry, right? And then the last thing that he was just an extreme giver of is belief in other people. So for me, for those who don't know my story, I started off with Symmetry in 2014, and I had never made more than $13 an hour before Symmetry. And the first year I made 10 grand in profit. It was about 10 months. I struggled like crazy. And that man put so much time and energy into me to help me, to mentor me, to coach me. And he believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself at that point. And he exemplified this not just with me, but with plenty of others on his team. And the loyalty that he built with that is just unbelievable. If you ask anybody in the Spieldener Agency that knew him personally, you would see how much Jimmy meant to them. So in conclusion, I would encourage all of you, just a practical action step, just be more giving. be more generous with your money, be more generous with your time to the right people, of course, and be more willing to freely share the things that you've learned over the years. Over to you, Cicely.
That was beautiful, Trey. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, Cicely Newsome, direct to Symmetry Financial Group, and so grateful for the mentorship of Brian Delaney and Edward Pritchett, and of course, Brandon, Brian, and Casey. But we certainly wouldn't be where we are without you guys. And so thank you. And really without Jimmy. And I gotta say it, I'm just gonna lighten it up a little bit. Saw those leaderboards just now. I've been away for a couple of weeks, and if Jimmy had been from Tennessee, that what he'd be saying right now is "Go Vols!" I may make an enemy there with some of my leaders. Yeah. Oh, look at you, Spivey. Oh, I thought for sure I was gonna get. Maybe that's why Chris Cook's doing so well right now. No, Jimmy was highly competitive, and I think I was able to channel him just a little bit right now, because he would certainly be talking about his favorite sports team. So, really what I wanted to share, very much like a brother to me. Jimmy actually even looks like my brother. I have an older brother, and it's like if my older brother had kind of gotten it together, he would be Jimmy Spilldinner. And so it was really great to really have two older brothers that were, anyway, Jimmy was like a brother to me for sure. And there are many, many things that I learned from Jimmy, and many things that I hope to pass on the legacy that we're creating, that I have learned from him. But I wanted to give one in specific that I think can be useful for everybody, whether you're just leading yourself right now and learning how to go out there and help families and write applications, or whether you're leading a team of people. And that is this notion of care to confront. And what I want to say is, own your voice. And I don't even just necessarily mean your leadership voice, what Jimmy taught us through his candor is that, it's almost like the TSA, see something, say something, but care to confront. Jimmy was certainly known for speaking his truth and for speaking his mind. And it was often raw, unpolished, maybe offensive to the ears that it was falling on. But he owned that. He owned his voice, and he cared to confront, even if it wasn't always eloquent the way that he did it. And if you were being led by Jimmy, you had to have a thick skin, and if you were friends with Jimmy, and if you were a competitor of Jimmy, you also had to have a thick skin. And I think for a lot of us, on the production side of things, Casey Watkins talks about a thimble full of boldness, but sometimes it takes more than a thimble full of boldness. And I would hear stories about what Jimmy would say to his clients in the home, and he would interrogate reality with them, and he would say big and bold things that got them to think about their future and about their legacy, and he didn't hold back on what he needed to say. See, we were taught never leave a home wishing that you had said something that you didn't say. Never leave a Zoom appointment now, right? Never leave a Razor Ridge text, never leave a meme unsaid, right? Because you're just going to carry that into the next appointment. And he lived that, he lived that. And I think, when it comes to owning your own voice and leadership as well, whether that's a nurturer or a guardian or a pioneer or, creative, whatever it is, own it and understand that in leadership, it won't always be perfect, the decisions you make and the things that you say. But if you say it from a place of ownership and you say it from a place of care, then it's okay. Because what happens, I think, is that, we get afraid of losing something that we don't even have, and so we don't say the bold thing to the client, or we don't talk to our people, we talk about them instead. And it's like, man, we're afraid of losing something that we don't even have. And Jimmy was just so good at not doing that, so that he could walk through life with confidence that he would own his voice. It was him, and he was proud of that. And that was attractive, even in the moments where it was messy. Because here we are all talking about it today. So, I bet a lot of us are going through one of those two things right now, either wishing that we could get over the line with wanting to say something to a client to help them get to the realization that we see about their family or their situation, or we have people coming to us saying, man, I would never say to so-and-so, but I'm saying it to you. I would just encourage us for some takeaways this week. Be bold with your appointments with your clients, because say one thing that makes you uncomfortable that you want to say. And with leaders and with your people, talk to somebody instead of talking about them. And so those are the things that I learned from Jimmy out of many, many, many things. And I miss him so much. And I'm so glad, Brian, that you invited us on to celebrate him today for the Eagle that he was. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Ayers.
Thanks, babe. Ayers Newsom, direct to Symmetry Financial Group, and Brian Delaney, and just grateful. Grateful to be on the journey. Grateful to be in a business that has such an immense opportunity to have such impact, and probably most grateful to be able to do it with people like all of us who are on the call and listening in today, because we none of us showed up on this doorstep because things were so groovy on the last one. You know what I mean? And we showed up here because we had a desire for change, and that was no less true for Jimmy. And one of the things that I admired. Oh man, if you knew Jimmy, you just couldn't help but admire the guy. And you didn't even have to know him, Jordan, I know that you got a chance to get to know him, but even from afar on that first day, he's sweeping the room in the awards, you couldn't help but admire the guy. And one of the things that I admired so much about Jimmy was his ability to change, and what that came from above all else was it came from this belief that he had. And he spoke so much about belief. And we saw, Brian, an enormous change happen, right? Like the numbers that you were talking about. He wrote his first app in June, and he closed out the year with, what was it, 158,000? Is that what it was? 158? So the part that's being left out around that is that in the months of June, July, and August, is that of that 158,000, those 3 months represented, I want to say, about 18. And it changed for Jimmy at the end of August at a conference in Atlanta. And it was because he made a decision that he was going to believe. He made a decision that he was going to believe. And it was after that everything took off. And I really think that what he experienced through that was he experienced the the realization, the empowering realization that we have the ability to choose what we believe. And when we change that, we can change anything. And one of the things which is super interesting that Trey, you were talking about, is that he believed in other people, and what he believed in was that they could change, you know? And I think that one of the things that I was so just blown away by was how much I saw Jimmy change. You know, I just saw him change, and I saw him change so much for the better. And lovingly, Jimmy, I'll say it this way, you know, you had plenty of room for that, you know, as we all do. But you know, you went first, left me here, so I get to say that. So I admire, yeah. He just, like, he had this ability to believe in others so much, and he knew the difference that believing would make. He talked about it all the time, The difference that it made when he made a decision that he was going to start believing and he was going to stop doubting, and how everything in his world began to shift. And he did that with himself. He did that with others. And I think that was some of the biggest impact that he had. And the challenge that I would invite anyone into that's on the call is to do an audit. Do an audit on your belief. Do an audit on the belief that you have in whatever it is that's challenging you, whether it's a relationship, whether it's this is the right place for you or not, or you're doing the right things or not, or whether or not you've got the right people. Because I saw Jimmy pour a lot of belief into people that I didn't believe were the right people. And I saw a lot of those people around some corners, and they are making massive impacts today in this business and in his agency. And man, and isn't that what this is about? You know? So that's what I would say. Pat, and I love you, Jimmy. I'm grateful for you. And I appreciate you, Jimmy, for being my running buddy. I needed one of those too. So to you, Brian, thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely incredible. And I would share the last text that Jimmy sent to me, but it's wholly inappropriate for any sort of work setting. So as the nature of our relationship was, so, but it was, you know, this is more, this is bigger than business. This is more than about business. And I remember Jimmy coming on the team, and he was complaining because there was a manager in between him and I. And this manager believed in this other guy, and it was really noticeable that he believed in him more than Jimmy, even though Jimmy was not getting results. And Jimmy just could not believe that somebody had the gumption to not believe in him, right? To not believe it. Like, even though his results at the time weren't believable, he knew they were going to be. He worked with the certainty that at whatever this is, I just got to get through it. And then you will hate your for not believing in me. And that incredible level of certainty that he had about who he was, what he was here to do, and how he was going to impact people was one of the reasons that he did, because he was not he was not a waiter. I hear so many leaders say, well, my mentor didn't give me this. He wasn't a waiter. He was a leader. He was a driver. He was a goer. He was a generator. He was not waiting for anyone to give him anything. He saw every single absence of value as an opportunity to give it. That was powerful. And that partner that you want to have in business. And for me, I ask myself, am I the type of leader that adds value to my mentor? Am I the type of leader that adds value to the people, or am I waiting for value to be added so that I can add value? Right? He was an initiator, and he also understood relationships. And if it wasn't for those people on his team, the Trey Alderson-Cloutier, who demonstrated consistency, coachability, Ian Graham, who still brings Jimmy's competitiveness and his crap talking into our environment, which I love. The Josh Busick, who is an excellent coach. The Brandy Kimbrell, who understands that level of consistent support to bring to people, especially in the beginning and direction. Chris Ripple, no excuses, just results. Alan Smith, growth, undeniable growth, and provision for his family. Aranza Larrigan, massive profitability, no excuses. Watching all the people that he impacted on the team and who carry a piece of Jimmy, but more importantly, have used that piece of Jimmy to become more of themselves, right? That's a true legacy. That's a true legacy. The people in the company that he was impacted by. One of the things that Jimmy understood that I wish more people understood, Casey, is that the leader is not the limitation. The leader is not the limitation. What he saw what I was great at, and he exploited that. And then he saw what other leaders were great around me, and he jumped over and he asked them questions. And if it wasn't for the Marshall Whalens, of course, Edward Pritchett, he would go to Edward. He'd be like, Brian sucks at this. I need help. Like, I need to get this result. Brian is not going to be the person who holds me back. The Matt and Brad Smith, he went to those guys to be able to get and to be able to become the leader that he was going to be. The Ryan Miller, and how he became such an integral part of that Ryan Miller, Miranda Martin, John Ziller crew in order to get to the next level. We saw a new level of Jimmy arrive as he made those connections. And Mike Pappas, Sarah, he had so much respect for Sarah and Mike, especially after the first time I remember him talking about it, where Sarah went on a travel trip. She came back, she bought a car with cash. They were so great at relationships. All the times that he spent with Ayers and Cicely Newsom. Toward the end, Melissa and Ethan Banning, just the powerful role that they played in his life. So much so that just a few weeks before he passed away, he set up this whole dinner. Casey, make sure that we had dinner with Melissa and Ethan, and to make sure that we're connected, to know each other, to be around each other from here on out, because these people are important to me, and these people are important to me. And I want these people to all know each other after me. I want to be the bridge. Some takeaways: intention and intensity. I remember sitting in Jimmy's calendar. He would not. I remember talking to him about doing a Sunday conference call. He said, I will not do that during football season. Have boundaries. Have your non-negotiables and work with them. I remember sitting in his living room on a Sunday, and he was pre-making his calendar based on vision and values for the next week, so that he wouldn't get trapped in emotions and circumstances and have those dictate his decisions, because he knew that wasn't enough to get the kind of life, to build the type of business and have the type of impact that he wanted. So pre-decide your calendar, prepare yourself to show up with enthusiasm and energy. Do not just show up when you have enthusiasm and energy. I remember him coming into phone teams. To the last call that he made, he would spend 15 to 20 minutes before every 3 hours of phone session getting himself hyped so that he could be present, show up, and have energy, not just doing the work when he had energy, but creating the energy so he could do the work well. Growth. He knew that his business and bank account were a reflection of his attitude and activity. Execute with excellence and remain coachable. Hardest thing in the world. Casey and Brandon used to talk about it all the time. Remaining coachable after you get a result, super hard. Remaining coachable to somebody who can't get your result, that's even harder. I watched him bring what he brought, which was a level of production that I never personally did. I always could pay my bills on my own pen, had an exceptionally high net placed. You know what he did? He went out and doubled. He almost doubled the best amount of production I had ever personally done in a year, and he did it with a 94% net placed. Freaking quality. People have so many excuses, and they're the ones that they give themselves. And he removed those excuses for himself first, so that he didn't have to give them as a trial for his team. People. Too little activity, whether it be in selling or recruiting, creates desperation and scarcity, which means you will take value from people rather than give value to people. He always knew that. He always knew that. He was the type of person who would make sure that even though how good he was like, if he got in the home, he was closing the deal. He knew he didn't need to set a lot of appointments. He still set a lot of appointments because he valued choices, the type of people who he wanted to work with, and the type of people who were ready to work with him. That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. And he executed on that and made sure that just because he was good, he didn't shortchange himself, his business partners, or his clients with low levels of activity or mediocre levels of attitude. Generosity. We have Make-A-Wish coming up. One of the things that I said, but Jimmy lived out, was that he knew that radical generosity has a supernatural link to unshakable fulfillment. One of the things that Jimmy passed away knowing was that his generosity was not going to stop with him. It was not going to be stopped with him, but it was going to be amplified by a company who recognized that generosity is not something we hope for, but it's part of our business plan. And because we have leaders in this company who started this company on the basis of the fact that we're not only going to make so that we can keep, but we're going to make so that we can give. We can give and we can give. And I watched him give so many times. He made it hurt for himself so it wouldn't hurt so bad for others. What an incredible gift to give other people. My notebook's not working. I took too long on that. Gratitude. He knew these things about gratitude, that gratitude is an action-packed response. To knowing that he was the turtle on the fence post, just like we all are, standing on the shoulders of giants. And he knew that gratitude was a commitment to not just receive value, but to become a multiplier of what we have been taught, and a leader and teacher for those who come next. A lot of times what we see is people take what they need and then go get what they can, rather than taking what they need and giving back to where they got it from. What a thing. He knew that in order to keep it, he had to give it away. In order to make it better, he had to help people find their best. Your name may be forgotten when you pass away. There are a lot of you who don't know that you live on a path that was helped to be paved by Jimmy Spieldenner's, not the words he said, but the actions he took, right? And your name may be forgotten, but the impact you make can be the catalyst for generational change, wealth, and impact. It may just be. It's all up to you. You know, just like I know. You feel that burning that hits here. You might even have it. You think it's from spicy food, but you just know that you have some greatness to get out. You have that unshakable belief that you're here to do something. You're just trying to find out what, and you've been holding it back because you've been afraid if you do it, you'll fail. What if you don't do it and you succeed? What if you succeed at doing nothing? What if you succeed at not being remembered? What if you succeed at living through your fears? What if I succeed at being perfectly immemorable because I was trying to be perfect? Don't be perfect. Make a mess. Other people are here to help you clean it up. And every single time we do something, we're going to get better. You know that you were designed for greatness. You know that you can feel it, that yearning, the anxiousness, the fire in your heart. It's time to let it out. The time is now. We get off this call without the baggage of the past, without the fear of failure, without that need for perfection. Right? But we get off knowing that if we take another step forward, and that if we move from what's in our head to our heart, our hands, and our feet, that we can truly impact others, and in that way become great. Thank you all.
What a call. Thank you guys. Gonna miss that man. You know, I don't think there's a more important conversation than you can have than what you guys had today. And I think we all look back, you know, we see the impact right now, that lasting impact that Jimmy has had in so many of our lives, a testament to what he was able to do. And I think when all of us think about that day that we're not promised, that, you know, we could hope that we at least had a little bit of the impact that Jimmy has had, you know. So thank you guys again. Looking forward to seeing you all next week at the Make-A-Wish event. Let's go out. Have another good week. Thanks, guys.